to Our Generation, where we educate, empower, and inspire with Melissa Shaw. And we are here with Larry Smith. I'm excited. Met you at a couple events, and definitely wanted to have you on the show because you do amazing work.
Well, thank you.
So you can just tell our audience a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Okay, well, as you said, I'm Larry Smith. First of all, thank you for having me. I really, really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I am so proud and honored to serve as the president and CEO of Fathers and Families Center. Our mission is to equip fathers and empower families so that children thrive. We've been around 31 years. In that period, we've served about 24,000 fathers, overwhelmingly low income. Most of them grew up without their father in the home, at least full time. 40 to 70% of the men we work with have been incarcerated, so they're formally incarcerated. But our recidivism rate after we work with them is 5%. And that means recidivism meaning going back and reoffending. The state of Indiana is 40 to 45%, depending on whose numbers you believe. And so as someone who was a teenage father, I was a dad at 16, and as someone who has raised kids as a single dad, I understand where our fathers are coming from. So I love working with them.
So how long have you been there?
It was 2 years in August, and so going on almost 2.5 years now.
Okay, so what's your background?
My background is I was born in Indy, was raised mostly at 34th and Emerson, so East Side, everybody from East Side. And my parents were divorced when I was 4 or 5, and my father was not involved in my life. As I said, I was a dad at 16, and so I understand that my life could have ended up very, very differently if it were not for the grace of God. I was always a good student. And so I went to college. I'm a first-generation college student, and that really changed the trajectory of my life. And so I went to college out in Massachusetts, came back to Indianapolis because my number one priority was to take care of my daughter, my baby girl, who is now 37. Just celebrated 10 years of marriage. She's given me 2 little plump grandchildren, a 4-year-old grandson, 3-year-old granddaughter.
Love it.
I am a divorced dad, so I have a 19-year-old who is a sophomore at Howard University in Washington, D.C. HU,
I love it.
And then my son is a senior at Lawrence North High School this year, so we're going through all the college stuff now. He's number 1 in his class academically.
Nice.
He's class president, does show choir. And so that's my background. I spent the first 11 years of my career in corporate America at Cummins, accepted the call to the ministry and went to the nonprofit sector. So now 21 years in the nonprofit sector.
Wow. So what made you want to get involved with this organization?
So that's a great question. I actually was a volunteer for several years. I learned about fathers and families right around the time I left corporate America, so 2003, 2004. And my predecessor, Dr. Wallace McLaughlin, became a mentor of mine. I wish I had learned about the organization earlier. Would have made fatherhood a bit easier. But I volunteered for what we call our fatherhood panel, which is where dads come in to talk about being a dad and whatever career you're in. As I like to say, it's blue-collar dads, white-collar dads, no-collar dads.
Not no-collar dads.
No-collar dads.
Poor
you come
people.
in. Absolutely. They talk about that. And then I was on the list to do mock interviews. We do mock interviews because we want our men to be prepared for real life. I was on the strategic planning committee back in 2012-ish. And so I've always been familiar with the organization.
Nice.
But here's the funny thing. When the job came open, I didn't apply. I was happy. I lived 5 minutes from where I worked. And I thought, I'm not going to do that. Long story short, though, they went through 3 rounds. And by the 3rd round, I started getting calls from members of the board, friends of the organization. They said, you should apply. I'm like, no, you should apply. And I got selected.
Wow. Isn't it funny? I think we talked about this when we first met. Sometimes the least thing that we want to do is the thing that becomes our biggest passion.
Indeed.
Yeah. So so go through the program. So what are some highlights and things that you guys really focus on?
So
helps the men.
We are best known for our Strong Fathers program. Strong Fathers is 3 weeks, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So 90 hours of instruction. We focus on what we call the 4 Ps. We want to help these men to become a better person, a better parent, a better partner, a better provider. a better person. What does it mean to be a man in the 21st century? So we have all these different modules, like going from maleness to manhood. A better parent. What does it mean to be a father in the 21st century? The majority of our men, like me, grew up without a father in their home, at least full time. Doesn't necessarily mean they're a bad father. They just didn't have a full time role model. A better partner. The vast majority of the men are not married to their partner or their former partner. And so we talk a lot about co-parenting, a lot about child support and those kinds of things. And then finally, provider. That's where most of the men want to start. We want to ensure that they have a job or a career with a family-sustaining wage, because when they get to us, Melissa, their income is less than $11,000 a year on average. So they want to start there. But because most of them have been dealing with some kind of trauma, we know that we need to do the other stuff first. Then we'll get to the workforce development. And so very excited about that. Once they graduate, there are 3 options, and they can overlap. And by the way, they don't pay anything to come. We pay them to come to our program, up to $100 a week to come to our program. When they graduate, they can apply for a job with one of our employer partners. We have about 60 of those. They can go through certification training, all the skilled trades, forklift driving, CDL. We opened a new construction training center with Eastern Star on 30th Street. And we pay for that. We pay up to $200,000 a year to send these men through training. Or if they want to start a business, we tell them to bring us a for real business plan, right? We will vet it. Excuse me. If we approve it, we pay their fees to the Secretary of State. We give them a new laptop, and then my VP of Programs and Partnerships becomes their entrepreneur coach. He is a former NFL player, has bought a bunch of businesses, so he knows entrepreneurship. Secondly, we go to the penal institutions. We work with men who are going to be released in less than 90 days. We help them reintegrate back into society, the workforce, and their families, right? If you don't have if you haven't graduated from high school and you want a GED, we'll pay for you to get your GED, right?
So basically, you take all the barriers off the table.
There are no excuses, right? Yeah. We give you gas cards and bus passes, right? No excuses.
What do you find is the struggle for people to want to come?
The struggle. Life. So we'll take you as young as 16. Okay. So, and then 16 to 116. Right.
Okay.
So
I would hope by the time you're 160,
well, hey,
you figured it out.
We've had men as old as 72 in the class. Yeah. I can tell you that. But the 16 to the 24-year-olds, they're tough. They won't come for the most part, right? They need us the most, but they haven't. Their frontal lobe hasn't fully developed yet. They're not. They're not trying to hear that.
I tell my daughter that all the time when she would be acting crazy. I said, you know what? Your frontal lobe hasn't developed, so I'm just gonna let that slide because you're not thinking correctly.
Absolutely.
Get back with me when you're 24.
No doubt. 25 to 30, we get a few of them, but our sweet spot is 30 to 35. These are men who have said, "I tried my way. My way ain't working.
Yeah.
Let me try your way." And then, it goes up from there. And by the way, I want to be clear. You don't have to be the biological father. You can be a stepdad. You can be a big brother, a man in that child's life. I always tell people, I'm not Maury Povich, right? So there's no paternity test. If you say you're the father, as far as I'm concerned, you're the father.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. And I want to circle back to the 16 and 24. So what have you guys had to pivot kind of how you approach them? To help bring them in? Are you?
Yeah,
what do you?
We do, and I talk to my colleagues in other nonprofit organizations, especially those who are focused on youth, and we get some tips from them. But at the end of the day, nothing replaces what I call shoe leather, right? You have to go if you want to fish, you go where the fish are, right? So we'll go to the schools and things of that nature to try to get these young brothers, and then referrals. Referrals are huge for us.
How much of the kids aging out of foster care do you?
It's a good question. Not a lot, but we do have a partnership with Foster Success because that's a major issue. And in fact, at intake, we ask the men if they come out of the foster system, and if so, foster care system. And if so, we'll connect them to Foster Success. But yeah, that's a major issue.
Yeah. So what other programs do you offer? So what if they're always? I know the title has fathers in it, but what if they're not? You guys don't work with ones that are not fathers?
We do not. It is we have a limited budget like everyone else, and so I get a lot of calls, and so we make a lot of referrals to other organizations that deal specifically with younger men, because it's mostly younger men who are not fathers. Maybe at some point, but Dads really need to, and I knew this even before I took this job, right? And it goes across demographics. I don't care what your age is, what your race is, what your income is, married or divorced. Fathers are struggling,
Yeah.
right?
Do you find,
Yeah.
is it diverse though that you
Oh,
come through
that's a
there?
great question. So, of that 24,000 men we served, probably 96, 97% are African American, right? But today, our classroom, we're down to probably about 88, 89% African Americans. We're getting more white men, more
Okay.
Hispanic men, and more international men, especially from Haiti.
Mhm.
Um, and then when we go to the penal institutions, the majority actually are now are white men,
Really?
and it's all voluntary, right? So we work
Wow.
with what I
That's
call the
good.
criminal legal system, but
Yeah.
prosecutor's office, Marion Superior Court, juvenile court, probation officers, and wardens at the penal institutions, and we always tell them, look, this program is voluntary. If you force these men to come, we're going to send them back to you,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Because they have to have buy-in.
Yeah, absolutely. An ownership of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So so it's like a reentry program.
In many cases, because I always get this question. Yes, we do a lot of reentry, but you do not have to be formally incarcerated, right? I want to make
Right.
that
Yeah. Yeah.
very, very clear, right? We will, if you are a dad or someone who is in that position, come to us.
Yeah. So from being 32 years, where do you see them going?
Um, I like to say to our team, I want to own all things fatherhood,
I know
right?
that's right.
So, and I
Hmm.
tell them that the good news is for us is the same as the bad news, which is our services are needed everywhere.
Yeah.
And so we were very, very blessed. We got a federal grant that's going to allow us to expand outside of Marion County for the first time in three
Nice.
decades.
Congratulations.
Absolutely. So we're very excited
That's
about
huge.
that. But I would love us to be a national program.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And I'm sure it would be because there's probably nothing like this type of program.
Yeah, there are a few, but yeah, I'm a former athlete. I was an athlete all the way through college. I'm a competitive. I hate to lose
Oh
at
yeah. So you're
anything. I
ready
want
to
to be number.
dominate everywhere.
Look, I always when I was running track. So in high school, football, wrestling, and track. In college, it was track. And I would always say that second place is just the first loser, right? So
That's so funny.
I want to win, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I want us to be the biggest. I already think we're the best. I'm biased. I already think we're the best, but I want to
Yeah.
be the biggest in the country.
What are some things that you've learned that surprised you that a lot of the men struggle with?
Um, so some things that surprise me are like mundane. We probably spend more time helping people get their driver's licenses back than anything
Mm,
else. And it's not even so much um, paying to be reinstated. It's the fees that
yes.
they rack up. I mean, talk about $1,000.
It's
It was
crazy.
like $1,000
I
in
know. It's
fees.
like, come on, y'all. Y'all know that you're being
Yeah,
extra.
exactly. So I was
Yeah.
not prepared for that.
Yeah.
But then the other thing is it's just the deep, deep trauma
Mm,
that these men go through, the stories that they tell about their lives. It's amazing. Then the other thing, which is very positive, is so many of the men come in and they're angry. Now they're there voluntarily mostly. I mean, sometimes their wife or girlfriend or mama, somebody say you need to go to this program, and so they'll come. But there's so much anger. But and our fatherhood specialists are very, very good at de-escalating, right?
mm,
And then when you get behind that anger, you understand what has gone on in their life. I mean, I'm talking, sexual abuse, grew up in all kinds of conditions in their home, and then frequently will replicate those behaviors and pathologies. And so dealing with the man, first of all, as I tell our staff, we have to, and I use the L word, we have to love these men.
we was talking about that earlier today, me and some ladies,
Yeah,
that they don't, even when it's genuine and there's no strings attached,
right.
they have a very hard time receiving it
Absolutely.
because they're like, okay, is there something coming? Like, would you
A-
want something from me? Like,
Absolutely. Yeah.
it is sad
It
because
is,
you should
yeah.
be able to say, I love you
Yeah.
because of you as a person.
Just you, and
Yeah.
so once by the end of the first week, we for the most part we've gotten through that, and these men come around each other and they form an immediate bond. I'll give just one of 1,000 examples. Few we call it a cohort. We have one cohort per month. A few cohorts ago, we had a brother who came in, obviously homeless. He was obviously homeless, and we ask that question when they come in, but we don't tell the other men in the class. By the third day, two of the men had bought this man some clothes, make sure he has some extra food. I mean, it's just that immediate bonding, right? And that never gets old.
No, and it's again, it shows how much the village is needed again,
No doubt.
which is very scarce.
No doubt.
That's one thing I love about P30 is
Mm.
because it's bringing that back. Like when
Mhm.
you come in, it's not just a co-working space.
Mhm.
They have created a space where it's a family, it's a
Yes.
village. Like everyone knows each other's names. I always think of Cheers. I want to go in and you know my name. Like that. How dope is that to for
Yes,
people to know you because
absolutely.
everybody wants to be seen, no matter where you are.
No doubt. And we love P30 as well. One of the companies here, Volume Out, is one of our
Yes.
employer partners.
Yep, they're great.
So we love P30, especially
Yes.
since it's on the east
I
side.
know, I know,
So,
absolutely. And
yeah.
so, yes, you was at the gala that they had.
Yes, yes,
Yep.
yes,
So
indeed.
it was a great 2 years
Yeah,
that they've
yeah.
been in.
2 years, and it's gone so quickly. I tell you, I've been very blessed to have had a lot of pretty cool jobs. But this is personally the most fulfilling. I always tell people this is personal.
Yeah.
This is personal. When I see these men come through our door, I think, again, but for the grace of God, that would be me. And
Mhm.
so this is personal.
Are there some things that you learned about yourself being in this role?
Yeah, that I'm more patient than I thought I was. You got to be patient in
Yeah.
this role, and that's an interesting lesson to learn. At 50 something that I am now. But yeah, I actually have a greater capacity for patience because if not, I mean this is it's cliche, but this is a marathon and it's not a sprint. And I was a sprinter.
I think a lot
This
of
is a
times we
marathon.
are because, like I told someone earlier, I think October just didn't even exist.
Hmm.
Time is just literally
Yeah,
like going so
yeah,
fast. It's almost like just stop.
yeah, absolutely,
And you have to really be intentional.
no doubt.
So with your program, do you talk about wellness and mindset
Oh
and
my God.
leadership?
Yes, have to. And so that's what I was saying. We save the workforce development stuff for the end. It is primarily about who you are as a person, getting mental health. And by the way, we stay in our lane, right? So I don't have therapists, I don't have healthcare workers on staff. We do what our VP Corey Parchment calls a warm handoff to
Mm-hmm.
people who can help them. So Jane Pauley, Eskenazi, Raphael, and when I say warm handoff, what I mean is this: we don't just give you a list. You can go over here. No,
I
we
can't
follow
stand
up.
that.
Yeah,
Absolutely no. I'm
we
gonna be on
follow
the
up.
phone with you. Let's do a three-way.
Yes,
Did you call the person that I told you to call?
right,
You have to do that.
exactly. So
Yeah.
we do case management. We follow up with the employers, with the employee, with the healthcare centers to make sure that they are getting the care that they need. And the good thing is, in the African American community, mental health, saying I need to talk to somebody has been taboo
Oh
for
yeah.
longest. That's thank God it's actually getting better. And this is the analogy that I use. Heaven forbid if you get shot, right? Nobody's going to say is going to pray, Jesus, take this bullet out, right? You're going to
Right.
go to the hospital. You're going to go to the
Absolutely.
doctor.
Yeah.
Same thing with our mental and emotional health. God gave certain people the ability to deal with you in that kind of trauma, that physical trauma, but also that mental trauma and emotional trauma. That takes nothing away from you. Look, I'm an ordained minister. That takes nothing away from your belief in God
No.
to go see somebody to talk about these demons that we all
Yeah,
battle.
absolutely. I always say the mind is a beautiful place, but it can be very dark.
No doubt.
And you don't know until you reach that point.
Absolutely.
And some have the ability to come out, and
Mhm.
some struggle with that.
Right.
And it have those spaces for them to be able to do that.
No doubt.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so if someone wanted to be a part of your program,
yes.
what can they do?
Very, very simple. There are three ways. One, which the one I recommend is come and see us. We're at 2835 North Illinois, which is just north of Ivy Tech. So you cannot miss us,
Okay.
right? Just north of Ivy Tech, beginning at like 8:45 in the morning until we shut down at 4:30. Come and see us. Secondly, you can go to the website, www.fathersandfamilies. So it's a long name, but fathers, plural, the word and families.org. Go on the website, which you can sign up on the website, or you can find our phone number and give us a call. But by all means, come by and see us.
Would you like to share any parting words for any fathers out there, newly fathers,
I just
that think they got it together, but they maybe don't?
look if you think you got it together, come see me because I want to know.
Right.
I've been a father for 37 years. I don't have it together.
Yeah.
Right. But come and see us because we all can use. I mean, I use this analogy. You look at a Michael Jordan, a LeBron James, a Kobe Bryant. They never stopped learning. They never stopped pride. They didn't say, "Well, I'm just the best," and that was it. No, that process never stops. And so, being a dad, first of all, much more important than being a professional athlete. But yeah, we all have something to learn. So that's the mindset and the humility that we all should have.
So you just made me strike up a thought.
Mm.
Do you have to have? Do you have to be struggling
No, 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 no,
to come
no.
and get assistance?
Absolutely not. Any, like I said, any dad come and see us because there's always some area. So let's say, for example, we started hearing from men who had a job, so they didn't need the workforce development, but they couldn't come to the program because they worked during the day, right? So we said, okay, great, we'll start an evening program. So we did So instead of 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., it's just 6 to 8. It's 2 weeks instead of 3 weeks. So we take out the workforce development stuff and just talk about the parenting stuff, right? We all can improve in some area of being a dad.
Yeah, no, I love that because there's not an. I don't feel like there's not enough for
Mm-mm.
men.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No
Well,
doubt.
thank you
Thank
for
you for having me.
coming.
I'm very honored that you had me.
Absolutely, yes, this has been great. So this has been Melissa Shaw with Our Generation, where we educate, empower, and inspire. Hopefully, you've been. I'm sure you've been educated about the importance of this program. So please reach out. I'll have the information in the description, and you always know where you can find us at projectourgeneration.org. And we are out. Thank you.
All right, now thank you.